I'm going to run through just one example of kind of the simplest way I can try to present this that discusses how the liquidity pool works, all right? So you have 4 friends. Keep it real basic. You have 4 friends. Each of them puts in $25, right? This is your pool. So the total amount of capital put in this liquidity pool is $100. $100, right? On day 1, say this is day 1. You started tracking this liquidity pool, right? On day 1, there's $100 total in capital. Each person put $25. That means that on day 1, each person owns 25% out of each person has 25% ownership of the total capital in this liquidity pool, all based off the ratio of each person's capital input out of the total capital at the end of the day, right? So now day 2 comes around. All right, day 2 comes around, and you have another friend who wants to come in and put money, his capital in there, but he wants to put in $50, right? So now, if you recalculate the total, you have $150 in that liquidity pool. So now total you have $150 in that liquidity pool. Right? So if you take, this is day 2, if you take now the percent ownership of each individual's ownership of shares, there's 4 of them that only put in $25, right? That hasn't changed. One person put in $50, right? You total this up, you got $150, right? If you want to find out each person's ownership of shares, right? 25 out of 150 gives you now 16%. So unless, around 16.7%, unless these individuals put in more money, their total percent of ownership shares is going to decrease because now there's a larger pool. So their initial capital represents a smaller ownership out of the entire capital in that pool, right? And this guy who put in $150 or put in $50, he now owns closer to about 33%, somewhere around there, ownership of shares of that liquidity pool. That's important because let's say y'all put money together to, I don't know, fund some project because there was like a minimum threshold of capital that needed to be able to put in money in that capital to receive a return. So let's say y'all pulled the money together and you decided, okay, well, we'll just split the profit, right? Accordingly, based on how much capital you put in the beginning of initially, when we all funded this project. So now this person owns 33%. So one person owns 33% and the other 4 own about 16.7%. So now from here, this is where you would receive, once the profit's paid out, let's say whatever fee percentage it is, you would split that accordingly based on these ownership shares for the pool. So this person, let's say it was, say it was 10% fee. This person who owns 33% will get 33% of 10% fee, right? And these 4 individuals will each get 16.7% out of the total 10% fee, right? So that's kind of like a basic summary of how it works. And there's some other additional factors that get input as well sometimes as incentives, like each person will receive like a 0.3% fee of everybody or every transaction that happens in that liquidity pool or out of that liquidity pool. So there's certain incentives that these companies or exchanges make so that you can keep your money there basically longer. But that's kind of a gist of how they work, right? Just kind of on a brief summary scale.